Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Technology Community Roundtable. My name is Xiaochen Zhang, and the host of this show. And today we have two amazing speakers with us. And before we start dive deep into the topic, I'd like to just have them to introduce themselves. And Anuj first.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, FinTech for Good. My name is Anuj Butail. I'm a principal solution architect with AWS. I've been with AWS for more than 6 years. Have a background in containers, security, networking, and have a experience of 20 plus years in the market.
Thank you. And Clinton?
Okay, great. First of all, big ups to Tech for Good for putting this together. My name is Clinton. I lead the team at Spark for our various events in the region. That's in Nigeria, in Kigali, in Africa, and in Qatar. What we do typically is global tech events, and we also run an aggregator where we connect startups to investors and operators and everyone in between. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, so my first question is to Anuj. In the past 20, 30 years, even longer, where we know that emerging technology are transforming many new business models and cloud-based solutions, becoming such a powerful or important key part of many of the innovations, and combining with that and with blockchain, with AI, with many other emerging technology, which just coming along with the cloud, and there are new ways of doing business, a new way of living life, and so perhaps we can just dive a little deep into your emerging technology related understanding and say what do you see as the most exciting emerging technological innovation, and how they are transforming the market, and how they're transforming the business.
Yeah, so from my standpoint, emerging technologies are the ones which basically democratize technology and enable non-users of technology to get hands-on technology, makes existing technologists much more productive and efficient. And the way I look at that is that the way AI has leapfrogged, it is kind of an internet revolution which happened in 1994. And what it is essentially doing at this point in time is it is making non-technical folks understand the technology world, and the technology folks being much more productive. So the way we look at things is it's more about ideas. It is more about execution of those ideas. And all those repetitive tasks which are happening will be taken care by AI. AI is coming up with reasoning capabilities also. So in terms of, we define them as agents, so which leverage the capability of large language models, which are used for generative AI, and providing the necessary reasoning capability also. So in some way, it is augmenting what a human can do. So I feel it's very powerful and impactful that a technology that is augmenting technical users, it is augmenting technical users, and overall resulting in creating value to the economy. I think if you look at surveys, they say that AI will add by some trillions of dollars by 2032 into the economy. So we look at more value creation from AI.
Thank you. And Clinton, that you have launched many of the tech events across a different continent. How did you define the agenda, and how emerging technology are being embraced in your events? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, thank you. So yeah, great question. So I think personally for us at Spark, we kind of gauge emerging technology on its ability to improve lives, to simplify productivity in markets, and then we try to bring together major players in that ecosystem or in that industry, in that niche together to have not just conversations, but to kind of build strategies of how to better deploy it. We'll see this with I'll give an instance, a few months ago, with AI in Nigeria. So we figured out that, for a country like Nigeria, which is emerging and is the next biggest hotspot when it comes to investing in tech, we figured out, AI was going to do a lot of things in both number one, boosting productivity, and number two, in really redefining how we think about tech. And we worked with the government closely, the ministries, the relevant ministries, to kind of put together drafts. Now this we did at our event, and also upcycle events, which we put together like drafts of policies that can be implemented to better, build about policies that can aid the ecosystem. Do you understand? So for us at Spark, we gauge emerging tech has in terms of its ability to improve productivity when it comes to businesses. That's education, agriculture, what's the word now? Clean tech, and whatever ways, right? So that for us at Spark, that's really how we think about emerging tech and how we better work with relevant stakeholders to build upon it.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. And as you can see, from both of you, that we have seen a lot of very interesting trend where that's emerging technologies interacting with different type of roles. And maybe we dive deep into Anuj, your role as a solution architect, and then your it's very clear you with your capability you're helping many organizational customers to build and build leveraging different technologies, and with maybe we can just dive deep a little bit into Gen AI side that there are a lot of interesting new type of ways how to code, how to just design, how to architect. With Gen AI capability, is your kind of roles being impacted in a positive way, that how, for example, leverage Gen AI, how that's supports you to do better in your job, and do you see also any challenge there as well?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. So, from my day-to-day perspective, what I feel is I advise big strategic organizations into how they can architect on clouds. And one of the key things which I was doing really was finding information. Okay. And that information is much more accessible to me now. So just to give an example, if somebody asked me a question, I had to go through a lot of documentation to figure out the right answer. With Gen AI, it becomes a lot easier for me. Like in Amazon, we use Amazon Q, and it basically provides me the necessary information. And in some way, what really happens is that what I was doing at a more like 60 to 70% of my time finding information, now I'm able to find this information much faster. And then enabling my customer how to use these features has really helped me out. So I can focus on high value design. I can think about strategic vision. So it's all about repurposing my time to do something which is much more valuable for my customers.
That totally makes sense. And we all say that, and cloud is one way to just enable the customer to do what they are good at. And but I think with Gen AI, that's we can also allow the solution architect to just do what they are good at. And that's totally, I think that's a great example. And then go to Clinton, that with emergence of Gen AI related application, all that have this topic becoming a topic which you focus on in your tech events in different continents, and how do your audience respond to these topics?
Interesting. I mean, it's good we have AWS on the someone from AWS on the conversation, because we have this event coming up in November, the Africa Startup Festival, which is an event that's focused on bringing some of the major names in the African startup and investment landscape. And one of the major things we saw was that we first of all had the partnership with AWS, and a big focus for them was to talk about Gen AI to enterprises, to growth stage startups who are looking to kind of boost their productivity. And we saw that became one of the most subscribed conversations for the event in November. So I think it's telling of the fact that in this regions or at this event, people are looking to use more models that can kind of ease the way they go about business, right? And yes, we are making this focal points at our event. We are making this when it comes to emerging sectors, that is emerging sectors and emerging tech. We are making this focal conversations because we feel that the faster people adopt and use these models, the faster we would actually get to see improvements in how they work. So yes, we are seeing a huge interest when it comes to Gen AI, when it comes to emerging tech. The same people want to leverage it, and we are focusing on it for our events, this year and early next year. And provided how the direction goes, we will also work closely with major stakeholders to kind of make it not just a one-off thing, but something that is easily and continuously being talked about and continuously being used.
Thank you. And perhaps this is also link back to Clinton's comment, all that as you operate in Africa, in Middle East, and maybe Anuj, that you can just shed light into this global technology diffusion, and where that's do you I don't know exactly which whether you have is your role is a global role, or your role is with just a focus economic focus. But in general, if you can just share with us your understanding regarding the how this emerging technology are develop, is that evenly spread across different continents, or some region or continent are leading, and so how this technology diffuse across different continents? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I believe and they said internet brought the world together, and now if I look at from a technology diffusion perspective, now everybody in the world is much more connected. They have access to the information. So in terms of like usability, so there are two aspects of it in emerging technology. One is basically, this is kind of my point of view, that one part of it is that, okay, in terms of usability, the use of Gen AI, everybody's getting their hands dirty on it. Everybody's trying to understand the value of it. And obviously the literacy rate around the world has improved. So if you looked at developed countries and developing countries, now even the developing countries, the literacy rates have increased. Like around August timeframe, I came back from India and I realized like even one of my security guard was actually using Gen AI, so that was pretty cool for me. So, but where I feel is that technology development, because there is a lot to grow, and there is a lot of thought around responsible AI and everything, and how does that impact social norms and everything. That is where needs to be done from a policy standpoint. A lot needs to be done from like how are models getting developed. These kind of models are very expensive to develop, and these are something which rich companies can only build to develop these base foundation models. And the more we come to a point where we ensure that this technology gets promoted across different countries, we will see more value coming out of it. So it's more about now growing into and seeing that we see more research papers coming across the globe. And across the globe, a lot of educational institution, research institution have access to these AI technologies, maybe like the GPUs of the world, which are very expensive to get. So if that's where it is, then we will see a lot of research community coming together and taking a step forward in this innovation.
Yeah, thank you. And again, that's the research piece also very interesting. And I had a lot of conversation with the universities and research organizations, and then it's really in this stage trying to redefine their role and with especially AI model training and all that. And they if you just pay attention to for example, the Stanford AI index report, and there are a lot of insights regarding industry dominating in the AI research, where that's in the AI should research institution continue to compete with the industry to gain back the dominance of the research agenda, or what is the role for academic organization. There are a lot of very interesting discussion. And maybe Clinton, that you can just let us share your view regarding in Africa, and what is what is happening and what is need to happen, and to especially for AI or Gen AI related um, uh, adoption or innovation. And so what is the current status, and then what need to happen to just improve?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think first of all is that, for a continent like Africa, which is, in many ways you'll call it a developing continent, in as much as it is very obvious that tech in Africa is the next big thing. We are seeing unicorns springing out of the region, faster than imagined. So, in as much as is a region that, is imagined and is, you would call it the next big thing. Uh, I think that there is still need to build on, personally, I feel that the pioneers of Gen AI, that is beside enterprises like AWS, Microsoft, and whatnot, I think that there is a need to have more startups leverage AI to build their solutions. Yes, we are seeing people build solutions, but I think that there needs to be a focus on more innovative solutions that solve problems. Not really just fancy, nice to haves. That you could just use and for like a few weeks or and just dump. I think that there needs to be we have seen startups spring up, but then there needs to be a need to build more innovative solutions. I mean, this is like the same thing in other regions, though. I mean, in LATAM, in North America, we're seeing companies springing out with AI solutions that don't really solve problems. They are nice to have. They give you fancy profile pictures and whatnot, but then they don't really solve the problems that we have, right? So I think that there's a need for the education awareness of the fact that more people need to build solutions, leveraging Gen AI, leveraging AI to solve our most pressing problems, right? For example, we have the US election cycle this period, right? Who is building what to make the elections easily accessible, right? How do we get to know the polls, who is ahead of who? We're not really seeing anything that is really solving those problems. So I think that as with Africa and other regions, there needs to be a need for education, awareness of more innovative solutions. I also think that, I mean, what we have currently existing is that we are seeing more startups who are going the traditional route. They feel that AI is not the next big thing. They feel that AI is not needed. I mean, we have more problems to solve than AI. So I think that we can't totally rule it out, but deploy it in many of the solutions that we are building.
Absolutely, yeah. And you mentioned about the literacy training or education related need. I think there is a global consensus on that, and we have our monthly, weekly AI newsletter, and just from last week that we see some major announcement from the big tech, and with a large investment in AI education. It's not in one region, but it's a global investment. Naturally, you can a lot of those kind of investment also will go to Africa and other continent as well.
Regions.
And another interesting thing which we observed is also related to a lot of discussion around the leapfrog, because it's very interesting when you just compare AI with, for example, mobile, right? And then with mobile technology, and then many of the Africans just enter into the cashless society without just even enter into those checks, and a lot of paper-based those financial instruments are even not enter into their life, and then they just immediately enter into next phase. And with the Gen AI and the Gen AI capability, as what Anuj mentioned, that his security guard is using Gen AI to improve, and then this can also give new capability for leveling out the play field. I think that's definitely are some of the very interesting opportunities we have seen. And then if we just go to the risk side, because any emerging technology will not just bring only good things, and there are always some risks. The risk can be for the society as a whole, can be for certain economy, can be for certain industry, can be for certain profession, or can be for certain individuals. And we have another newsletter is called AI 2030 Watch, monthly AI court case review. So we have seen that so many interesting court cases put many of the organizations, small and large, to the court, and then where individuals' rights are being impacted, and where some of the products are introduced which many are benefiting, but in the meantime others' right are being impacted by the launching of such product, because their rights are not being they have not been compensated, or their right not being compensated. There's also privacy, tons of other type of risks. And maybe we can just talk a little bit of the risk that from your side, what have you observed, and how that are impact the different industry or economy or your customers. And maybe again start from Anuj.
And it's a very valid point out here that every technology we have to look at the other end of the spectrum also, how that it can be used to deliver value, but it can also be misused. So first of all, there are two aspects around here. Is one is not with malintention, and another is malintention. One is that when we talk about this generative AI, it has that hallucination component to it, and even the researchers who have developed these models are not aware why this is happening, because it's all based on probability. I know a story where, like you talked about the legal system, there was a court case where the LLM just built up some random example in the past of a court case which resembled it, which never even existed. So, so in some way it helps out, but in some way you have to be very careful about hallucinations, and especially for really critical functions, you need to make it sure you validate it. So even from my standpoint, when I'm providing critical design decisions, even though if I get some answer related to certain services, I actually validate them on my own also, just to be sure that, yeah, these are valid answer before I go ahead. So especially in critical functions, which could be healthcare, it could be technology design, it could be pharmaceuticals, or any kind of things which require, you need to make it sure these models actually are providing you with the right informations. They have become better now, so that they don't hallucinate, and there are a lot of techniques which basically help you out to remediate those kind of effects using prompt engineering, telling them not to hallucinate. If you know the answer, make it sure that's the correct answer. But that's one part of it. So that is something which is not intentional. The other part of it could be intentional. I have been in the security for maybe maybe 8, 9 years now. And what I see is that now, especially social engineering has become a lot easier than what it used to be in the past. Now you can get messages saying using Gen AI, they can craft like fancy messages which can appeal to anyone, including me also. I have been social engineered. So we have to be careful about that. With these capabilities, yeah, even hackers have access to the code. They know how to make it sure that how they can make it changes easy. And now it's about a race between, especially in the security side of the business, where one is trying, an attacker is trying to use Gen AI to build up maybe malware, but on the other side, you are trying to detect it and trying to build up to find the anomalous nature of those attacks which are coming in. Uh, then the other things which we already talked about is like you can have propagandas, you can do a lot of things out there, which, and that's the reason it's very important that that kind of even sometimes these LLMs have some bias associated with it, and they are as good as the data on which they are trained on. So that data needs to be ensure that it's very heterogeneous. It takes into all the perspectives, and then obviously a rigorous kind of AI responsibility should come over it. So if you have this technology without having a policy-driven approach, without taking into account how the society looks at it, how the culture looks at it, if those are not factored in, this can result into other kind of side effects which are not good for the society.
Yeah, I think, when you just differentiate the intentional and unintentional, I think that is a very important distinction where that's, as I had a conversation with scientists, with also engineers, and for those who are really good in their job, and share with me that the idea of the black box, right? And then there are naturally unintentional consequence where that is just they don't know why the result is as such. So the way how you build your AI system, how to make your AI explainable, and then trying to just control as much as you can, make it as there's unintentional consequence, and how the strategy to deal with that will be very different from those which are intentional, like the example you gave, like the deep fake, like manipulating of election, and then we have social engineer and all that. How as a society we can just address those kind of intentional harm, and what need to be in place to just avoid that, or if such consequence, or consumers suffer from such consequence, and how they should be compensated, or are there any mechanism, and is the current legal system sufficient in provide a remedy, and there are tons of new issue related with AI related risks. And Clinton, in your events, responsible AI, or the AI related risk, is this topic that people care a lot about? Have any of insights shared at the events, or insightful where that you'd like to share with us?
Great. So I'm gonna be honest here. I think that a lot of the attention at the moment is all about um, advocating for the use of AI, Gen AI, mostly. We are seeing, we've not yet seen a huge interest when it comes to responsive AI because people are all focused around how do I use it. They're not focused about all that's in my event. They're not focused about what's the disadvantages, what's the cons. They just want to deploy it, right? I mean, this does not mean that it is totally not existent. We still have some conversations around it, but at the moment it's not really of interest of major interest to people. Uh, the reason I really don't know, but I would liken the reason to the fact that we are still looking at the current wave of AI is still all around deploying it, the use cases. We've not yet started seeing the repercussions of AI, and I mean on various spectrums, right? But then I am optimistic that say in the next coming years or months we would be able to kind of touch those conversations because I feel personally, I mean, just like how Butail has said, it is really necessary that we look at AI from the consumer standpoint. How people are affected by it, and there are court cases playing here and there. How the companies implement methods that can really integrate safe AI into their models and their business structure in such a way that it is really mutually beneficial to all parties.
Thank you. Yeah, and there that maybe we can just change topic a little bit to the one of the topic which have been just talk a lot about. That is the emerging technology versus the job of future, and with emerging technology and many new jobs will emerge, and while that some of the current jobs will maybe just impact and even be phased out as a job function. So naturally there are a lot of anxiety among those who try to figure out what is my personal strategy and how can I stay or remain relevant in the future job market. And any thoughts from both of you and regarding how emerging technology impact the job market, and then what a new job are emerging, and how what are the strategies that for individual to get them prepared? Maybe from Anuj again.
Okay, and this is an interesting question in which we debate a lot internally also, like, okay, how will the jobs of the future will change? I think the way we look at it is what is AI adding and how do human beings, I think it's augmenting your workforce. So AIs are very good in remembering things. They will be doing a lot of rational tasks. But if you look from a human being perspective, human beings have the right creativity and intuition, and they understand the cultural norms, which obviously an AI doesn't understand. So the way I look at from the job of the future is that, um, first of all, the accessibility of information will be the same across all the individuals. So the people who were at one point in time considered experts may need to understand like other people are also becoming experts. So I think if you look at from a future perspective, look at the demographics, uh, um, like the world age population is getting old, correct? And not a lot of children are getting born. So obviously there will be a gap in terms of workforce. So that's where we have to understand that there are specific skills which would really be required. So some of the skills cannot be taken over. For example, if my daughter wants to learn a dance, it is not like AI will be teaching a dance to her. So some of those jobs will remain. So if we look at, you can say the AI impact to different job sectors, I think especially if you look at it, it will be more around service industry. Service industry which will include maybe legal, maybe marketing, sales, and even technology. But the other aspect to it is that the people who don't use AI will be left behind. That's one of the key things which people need to understand, because if they feel that, yeah, this is not something they want to leverage, they will be left behind in their job. So now there is a point where you can use your creative skills to basically enhance your productivity and add value. So the people will who were used to do those jobs of making documents and stuff like that, that will be going away. But I think the ideas which are there to put them into production will be much more faster than what it used to be before. So the jobs of the future are the ones where I tell everyone is the people who have creative aspects, who know how to build value. And I was speaking to one of my friends, and I said, like, maybe like if you look at the technology industry, product jobs will be there, because they need to define how a product is made. And now you have the technology people who will actually deliver the product faster to the market using all these AI tools. So it's a win-win thing. It's just about understanding where it fits and where it doesn't fit, and where to enhance its capability. And looking at the whole demographics and everything, I feel new jobs will emerge, but the way you look at the jobs will also change. The jobs, people need to think a little bit more creatively, build more brainstorming, and see that how it can add value to the business.
Thank you. Yeah, so the value piece, I think, is no matter, with AI or humans, and by the end of the day, whether, because by the end of the day, that it is exchange of value in if you want to get being compensated, and then what value you bring, and then that's the part, where that each job function, to need to define what is the real value you bring to the table, and that itself may not change. And you also mentioned about the part where human need AI to just enhance productivity, and just imagine if you are doing your marketing or whatever job you are doing, where that's others using AI to write, to create an image, and then one person can do 10% job, and you still just try to design, try to do everything without AI. Naturally, you're competing with 10 people, and then your productivity and your pricing and all that will not make sense. So that will again go back to the value, and the value you created with that amount of time is just too limited for you to becoming competitive. That's naturally just your probably will be phased out in terms of the competition, all that. So embracing AI as a part of the job of the future, where no matter what you do, and I think that itself is critical. And Clinton, and any thought from you?
Yeah, totally. So personally, I think the future of work is kind of undergoing like a shift, due to like the rapid adoption of emerging tech like AI, blockchain, automation, and all of this extended reality, right? And then I think that when it comes to like where the work we do and how we work, where we work, and the type of jobs available, like say in finance, in logistics, in healthcare, AI is doing a great job to kind of automate tasks, routine tasks such as like fraud, maintenance, customer service. I mean, we're seeing this in like day-to-day applications, right? And so, for example, say automation, right? It demands to handle like repetitive tasks, and there's a demand for like high technical skills such as like data analysis, decision making is rising. So I think the job market is evolving, right? Traditional roles are becoming less and less secure, right? In fact, I read on the news, yesterday that Amazon is firing like 150,000 managers, and that's a blow to the job market, right? So, and new positions that didn't exist, say, a decade ago, I kind of imagine, particularly in fields like, say, cybersecurity, AI ethics, blockchain development, and we're seeing that there's a rapid shift in like the job market, right? So say, for example, in automation, right, the shift towards more remote work and like flexible job arrangements, is becoming more like a permanent feature, right? I mean, this is like from post COVID, right? And the change also really affects like the tech and media industries. So take for education, consulting, we're seeing more and more companies like prioritizing like global collaborations through digital platforms. Say TikTok, say Meta, right? So I think in the future, staying relevant, has a talent will require like upskilling, particularly like tech-related jobs in data science, blockchain, AI. I think it will demand upskilling, reskilling as well. And talent and workers will need to like kind of embrace like learning, constant learning, right? And also adapting to keep on the pace of how things are evolving. And really the importance of soft skills, I think that can be negated at all. So, to boil it down, I think that more especially, we're seeing a shift in digital skills. We're seeing a shift in digital work and the future of work. And for talents to kind of remain more valid, more what's the word now? Remain more important, right? I think there's a need for them to kind of upskill. There's a need for them to, embrace more like lifelong learning to be able to remain more and more important in the workplace.
Thank you. Yeah. So again, this is such a short conversation, but we are able to just cover many grounds. From the latest development trend to the impact to different continent, technology diffusion to the job of the future and all that, and maybe the final 30 seconds or 1 minute that any take-home message you'd like to just have audience to think of as a part of listening to this, and what are your message to them?
I think the message to the audience is more about that AI is there. It will be there now. It's not going away. And I think the key part is look at the positive side of AI because it definitely enhances your productivity. It actually makes your skills much more diverse. But overall, use it responsibly. And this is very important. Understand what it is giving you, and don't lose the human touch of it, because AI doesn't mean that you have a companion which helps you out, but reach out to the people, because in a society we need to have that social connection, that emotional connection, that cultural connection. Don't lose that aspect of it, and don't be in the world that AI is your best friend. Yeah, it is your best friend, but humans are also there.
Thank you. And Clinton?
Yeah, so I think personally, I think the key takeaway is that, AI is here to stay, right? And, it will continue to reshape the future of work across all industries. And I think that rather than fearing these changes, there is this future that we kind of embrace them. And, the best way to kind of, stay relevant is by training continuously and really not losing that human touch, that machines cannot replicate. There's a problem solving, there is a creativity, there is the adaptability, so these are things that machines cannot replicate. So, and I think the future belongs to those who kind of blend their tech expertise with like emotional intelligence, and, who are really open to kind of like upskilling and, going with the journey actually.
Thank you. I really liked the positive side of your message, and as both of you said that the trend is there and it will not go away. So stay active doesn't help, and so stay positive, get yourself embedded into the trend, and learn, and working with others. Get your productivity enhanced, and so all those are great advice. So with that, thank you both of you for spending time with us, and hopefully that's our audience really enjoyed this conversation. And next Tuesday, and we'll continue this conversation and on the Emerging Technology Community Roundtable. Hopefully that's we'll see you there. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you for hosting.
Bye-bye.